How you doing? And welcome back, guys. And today is going to be the last part of my three-part series for high-end photo editing. And just stay tuned, guys, because you learn a lot. And if I may put it this way, this is going to be the cherry on the top. Welcome back, guys. Alright, so the next step that I'll be doing will be color correcting the skin. I know it's a bit different than the usual because most of the time, guys, color correction is being done at the start of the editing. But since I don't have any color casting on my photos, I decided to go ahead and jump into fixing all those blotches already, not minding my color correction yet. Alright? So having said those, let's go ahead and jump into the editing side or editing part of this video. So once I'm satisfied with the color and dodging, I'm gonna go ahead and assess what color I have to fix on the skin. And in this case, I see that on the shadow part, there's a bit of reddish tint. So I'm gonna have to fix this, okay? Okay, and I'm just assessing some other parts of the skin. All right. Now, the way I do this is I call out my lasso tool, sample on the layer that is problematic, the same as what we did in burning and dodging. Call out my curves adjustment, and since we're fixing the red, a reddish tint, we go to the red channel and counter it with by introducing green to the skin. Okay, and here we go, and there you go. And once you're happy with it, you're just gonna go ahead and call out your brush tool, and then that's what I told you, opacity is, you're gonna have to lower your opacity and once in a while change it depending on the problematic area you're trying to fix. Okay, and as well, you have to change your brush size once in a while together with the opacity. All right, so here we go. All right, so I guess you have the gist of this part of editing. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward the video so not to bore you guys. Here we go. Alright, when you're happy with it, so this is gonna be my before and after. What I'll do next is to reassess my photo, and I can see that there's a yellowish color tint on the skin. So I'll do the same procedure, call out my lasso tool and sample on the yellow part of the skin, and let me zoom in a bit so I can see it, and then call out my curves adjustment. And since we're dealing with the blue and the counterpart of blue is yellow, so we're gonna go to the blue channel and introduce a little bit of blue on the skin. All right, let me just do that here. There you go. And once you're happy with it, let me just fix a little more. All right, there you go. Once you're happy with it, what I do is to zero out the opacity and then come back a little bit just to gauge the color of the skin. And okay, once you're happy with it, call out your brush, and you have to work in subtlety here, guys. Okay, so you're gonna have to change the opacity once in a while depending on the parts that you are trying to fix, because it has a different degree of redness in them, as you can see with the shadows on the forehead and around the eyes. There's a different if I could put it, there's a degree of redness in them. So you're gonna have to eyeball this, and please do practice again and again, because there isn't an exact formula that I could share to you guys in doing this. It only comes with experience. So, and then once in a while you have to change the brush size as well, depending on the area again that you're trying to fix. Okay, and I guess you have the gist of how to do this. So let's go ahead and fast forward the video. Once happy with the result, so here's your before and after. I know it's subtle, but it goes a long way, guys. I'm telling you, especially on the next step that we'll be doing, which is adding contrast to the photo, which most of the time introduces a color shifting as well. All right, so let's jump into contrast. And how do I do this? It's simple. It's all in the internet, guys. I use my curves adjustment as well in introducing uh, contrast to my photo. But there's a lot of ways to introduce contrast to your photo, mind you. You could use levels or anything else or something else. But for me, I'm more confident in using curves adjustment. So let me go ahead and pull out my curves adjustment. Okay, let me pull out my curves adjustment. There aren't no any tricks here, guys, and no magic. It's the same as the concept of everyone else. It is just an S curve. But the only trick that I could share to you here, guys, is I put my blending mode into luminosity, okay? Because it doesn't introduce too much color shifting to the point of none at all, okay? It's just changing the tonality of your shadows and the highlights without too much color shifting being introduced to your photo. That's one of the tricks that I could teach you guys. And it's a bit, it went a bit darker, so I'm gonna go ahead and I called out my curves adjustment and brighten the photo a bit. Okay, and then rename it. As you all know, we need to be organized here. So okay, let me just rename this, and afterwards what do? We group it into one, so we won't be confused which layer is this for. And if, for example, in the long run you have to fix something, at least you know which layer to fix. Okay, and then I'll pull it back as what I do, and then introduce it slowly. Here we go. All right, so once you're happy, there's your contrast. Here's your before and your after. I know it's subtle. As what I told you, I want an organic looking photo. So your mantra here is less is more, okay? All right, there you go. All right, so what do we do next? I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so let me just check the before and after one more time. All right, just to let you see. All right, there you go. And then the next part is introducing global color to the skin, and I want it a bit, warm, on the warm side. So how do we do this? Call out your gradient map. I know it's gonna look like this, but don't worry about it. Click on it, and then the warm tone on the skin is in here. So you're gonna have to click on the gear on the right side of this pop-up window and go to photographic toning, append to it. And as you can see, there are lots of colors that you could use here if you want a bluer tint on the skin, green, cyan, or whatever, brownish. But you could do that. But for me, I always choose this one, okay? And then I'm gonna hit OK, and then change it to soft light. All right, here you go. And then adjust my opacity and then bring it back a bit to how I want it, how warm the skin, or how warm you would like the skin to be, okay? And then for this, you're gonna have to hide the color. So how do we do that? Let me adjust it a bit more. All right, how do we do that? So you have to rename it this first, okay? And then what I'll do is, since it went darker, is I'm gonna go ahead and brighten it a bit, and then rename this as brightness, and then group it all together. All right, and then rename it skin color or whatever you want to name it, and then put a mask on it, and then hide the effects altogether. All right, because I don't want it to be on the hair and some other parts that it doesn't need the warm color. So how do we do that? So we're gonna have to fill the mask with black in order for us to hide it. Okay, so let me just go ahead and do that. Here we go. All right. And then, as what I told you, the trick here is always brush it on the skin. And for this one, you're gonna have to use different opacity as well. But for me, it's okay to use 100 on the forehead and the bridge of the nose. There you go. Avoiding the eyes, the nose, the lips again. You don't want to introduce warm color into the eyes. And here we go. A bit there. Okay, right here. Okay. And as what I told you guys, you're gonna have to work on different opacity here. Cause as you can see here, let me go ahead and work on this a bit and then show you what I mean by using different opacity. Okay, let me work on the forehead a little more, this part right here, and just in case you made a mistake, you could always brush it off with your black brush. White reveal, black conceals. Okay, here we go. On the neck part, if I brush it off, if I brush it on 100%, it is shifting the color towards yellow, so I have to change the opacity of my color, or of my brush, I'm sorry. Put it at around, yep, right here. Then brush it on the skin. So guys, again, the technique here is a lot of practice, okay? Because you're really gonna have to eyeball this part of the finishing touches of our editing, okay? And this goes with experience, guys. So you have to practice and practice and train your eyes to see those tiny nuances that could make or break your editing or the editing of your photos. I'm telling you guys, especially if you are in a commercial level part of your photo editing, it is very brutal out there, okay? So those tiny nuances, you're gonna have to fix it. There's no work around it. You can just hand it over to your client and pray that they won't see it, because they will, I'm telling you. And chances are you'll redo it over and over again, and then you lose your credibility to the client when it comes to editing your photos. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm fixing the color of the hands as well, to blend it a bit on the skin of the face and overall color of the skin. So here we go. All right, some parts here. So guys, again, work subtly, okay? Subtlety is the key here, guys. So here's your before and after. All right, I see it's very subtle, but it goes a long way, guys. I'm telling you. Then I'm gonna have to adjust this a bit just to introduce more warmness into the skin. Okay, and then once you're happy with it, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the next part of our editing, which is introducing. Okay, before we jump into the next big adjustments on the photo, I notice here that my hands is a little bit brighter still for my taste, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjust it and darken it a bit more, just to have the skin on the face pop out some more. Okay, and it is a bit more of your burning and dodging, so just call out your curves adjustment. Okay, and then fill it with black just to hide the effect, because white reveals, black conceals. Okay, and then brush it on a bit with your white brush to reveal the effect. So there you go, a little bit more here. All right, it's a never-ending battle, guys, because sometimes you don't know when to stop, but you gotta stop editing at some point, because you always see, tiny nuances, but but if it's negligible, I mean, if you could just, not see it right away, then it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. No skin is perfect, I'm telling you guys. And just to produce a more organic photo, and then rename it just to be on the organized side. All right. So once I'm happy with it, what I'm gonna do is the next step after this. Let me just show you where we've gotten already. That's before and after. That's your original photo and after all the editing that we did. Okay. So once I'm done with everything, the contrast, the global skin color, the next thing that I'll do would be what you call this is sharpening. Okay, and as you can see, guys, I never touched the hair here because I would like to do a separate tutorial for this, because hair is very unforgiving, guys, and it's gonna take up a lot of time, so I might as well introduce it by doing it on another tutorial. But for the skin part, we're already done. This is the last part for the skin. But for the hair, I'm gonna do it separately, okay? But let me show you guys how I do those tiny strands of hair, just to give you a glimpse on how I edit those, flyaways and something like that. So I call out my clone tool, zoom it a bit, or zoom it so I can see what I'm fixing here, trying to fix, and then sample on the nearest area where you're trying to fix out those flyaways, okay? And this one you have to be careful as well. Here we go. Trying to fix some flyaways here. And the trick here is to sample to the nearest area that you're trying to fix, so it won't have visible differences while you're cloning out those flyaways. Okay, right here, some more here. Alright, here we go. Some more here. Right there. Because I tell you guys, this is very unforgiving. Hair is one of my nemesis and very unforgiving when it comes to editing, guys. So I won't be putting it here because my main purpose for this editing would be skin. Alright, so we'll go ahead and try to produce a different editing for the hair alone, because it will eat up a lot of time if I do it, because there are some techniques in hair, in doing the hair, that's very rigorous when it comes to fixing it, and very time consuming, guys. So that's how I do it. All right, so just sample on the nearest area, and if for example you see a little bit of discoloration, you could always fix it. Okay, you could simply fix it by the use of your, for example, let me just right here, for example, right here, right, there's a discoloration right here. You're gonna have to call out your patch tool, and then it will easily blend in. See the magic right here. Bam, it's gone, right? So there you go. That's your before and your after, guys. So a little bit more here. There, okay. So I know I'm doing it a bit sloppy, guys, but I believe that you've already gotten the gist on how I do it. So all right, so it's easy to fix the flyaways, guys, but the other parts of the hair, well, it's very cumbersome. We're gonna have to do a lot of process in order to fix it. So let me just produce another tutorial for that. So let's jump into the next part of the editing. Okay, and that is sharpening of your photo. Okay, so as we go along, guys, you would understand that you can't do sharpening globally. Okay, this is part by part. You gotta do the eyes and the skin separately. All right, and the way I do sharpening is that you have to screenshot everything on the layer. So that's Command Control Shift S in Mac. All right, and then go to apply image, and then apply image, and then this merge. Yep, you don't have to change anything here. And then click OK. All right, and then once you click OK, I'm gonna turn this into smart layer. Just so because if I would like to change something, it's easier for me. There you go. This one you have to zoom in because you don't want to introduce artifacts. And the way that you'd know that you're introducing artifacts here is that there will be like this, like a discoloration on the layer here. You don't want to do that, so just eyeball this. Again, it comes with experience, guys, so you have to practice. Sorry for again and again introducing practice to you, but that's the only way, guys. So once I'm happy with it, I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. So right here. All right, so yeah, and then this one is just for the eyes, guys. I'm looking at the eyes. I'm not looking at the other parts of the photo here. All right, just focus on the eyes if that's what you're trying to sharpen. All right, then click OK, and then change the blending mode. I'm gonna go for soft overlay. No, let me see. Yeah, overlay for me is good. And then I'm gonna have to hide the layer or the effect again, and then brush it off to the eyes. You can do 100% here, guys, because you're just doing the eyes. If, for example, it's too much for you, you could always lower down the opacity of the effect. But for me, it's good enough, so I'm gonna put it at 100. Then I'm not seeing that it's too much anyways, and it's not introducing artifacts, so I'm okay with it. And then I could use this on the lips. It's a trial and error. I go ahead and try to introduce, and I think it's okay on the nose as well. So if it's working, you don't have to do a different layer. Just stick to it, and for my taste, it's working, so I'm okay with it. All right, here we go. Before and after. It's subtle, but it's there. Okay, that's the magic. That's your mantra. Subtlety, guys. Less is more. All right, a little bit on the eyebrows. See if it's gonna work, and it's working. Yeah, so I'm okay with it. All right, so here we go. So next part that I'll be sharpening here would be the skin texture, okay? And that's why I put my layer before into smart filter, because of this next step that we'll be doing. All right, so the way I do this is, let me just go ahead and rename it first. There you go. And then Control J or Command J on Mac, and then rename it. This one, I'm gonna do the skin, so rename it as how you want it to be named. I don't really care, but stay organized, guys. All right, so there you go. And for this, I'm gonna reveal the effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this with white first, and then I'll fill it with black later on, because I just want to see the effect that I'm doing here. And since I'm on a smart filter, I could go ahead and call out the high pass filter with no problem. So let me just zoom in a bit. Here we go, and look at the skin texture. Wait, all right, now I'm lost. where am I? All right, here we go. Just go ahead and pull it. Right side, stupid. There you go. So I'm eyeballing the skin texture, and I guess this is. See, it's introducing artifacts on the eyes, right? It's too much sharpening. It's not good because this one is just only for the skin, and you don't want to double up your sharpening to the eyes or some parts that you've sharpened a while ago. So just focus on the skin. Once you're happy, just go ahead and uh, hide the effect by filling it with black. Here we go. And then at this point in time, I'm gonna have to brush it on the skin, avoiding the eyes, the nose, and the lips since I already sharpened it a while ago. So here we go. Work slowly, guys. You don't want to rush things here. There you go. I'm doing this a bit sloppy, guys, because so it won't take out much of our time doing this. But you're gonna have to avoid the one that you sharpened a while ago. All right. So again, pull back the opacity and then see where you want to be, and then once you're happy, then everyone's happy. Okay, I guess I'm happy with this. I'm just toning down a bit here because I can see that there's some artifacts being introduced here, so let me just tone it down a bit, and here we go. I guess we're done with everything here with the skin color, global color correction, introducing contrast, adjustments, and then the last part is what I told you, sharpening, because this is because sharpening is very unforgivable to the skin. So you have to have a good skin texture already before you introduce sharpening to the skin, so it won't create a lot of problems. Okay, so you already have guessed it, we need to group this part of our editing so that we won't be confused which layer that we need to fix if, for example, there is a problem afterwards. All right, so that there goes your sharpening, and it looks good from here. And guys, if you want to gauge the totality of your photo, you have to zoom it 50%, and if it looks good 50%, chances are if you print it, it looks good. Okay, so that's at least that's my idea, and it's working out for me ever since. So here we go. So what else do we need to do? All right, let me just adjust, let me just go ahead and fix some parts here. This will be my final burning and dodging because I'm seeing some things here that I need to fix. I tell you guys, you just can't do it in one go. So as you go along, you will always see things, but the trick here is that you have to know when to stop. But this one, I really need to fix this because just to blend it a little more, because I can see that it is a bit darker for my taste. And so there, this is the final stage of burning and dodging. After this, I'm not gonna do it again. It's just that I saw something that needed to be fixed before I end this tutorial, because I don't want to give you guys a semi-cooked photo, or for that matter, I don't want to give a client a semi-cooked photo. Okay, so this is the final touches of burning and dodging. If I see something here, I'm gonna have to fix it. Okay, there we go. And let me compare my before and after. All right, so that's my before, that's our before. Okay, and here's our after. All right, let me just do it side by side so you will see it more clearly, just to let you see how far we've come. All right, the original photo would be on the left side, guys, and after all the editing, the before would be on the right side. As you can see, it's very subtle. The photo is very organic, and that's the technique. All right, you want your photo to be organic and keep your audience guessing which part you edited. And once you've done that, guys, you've achieved, you know, the high-end photo editing of the skin. All right. So again, your mantra here, guys, is less is more, and work in subtlety. So having said those, I mean, if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys, and the bell, so every time I upload new videos, you would be notified. And as of what I'm telling you, this is just the start, guys. I'll be uploading so much more, not only in editing, but the way how I take photos and the concept of lighting. How do I light my photos? Okay. So having said those, I hope you guys and your family is safe at home with this all these things are happening around the world. All right. So from here on, I'm signing out.